Good morning, people. It's an absolutely beautiful day here in Staffordshire. It's freezing cold, but it is beautiful at the same time. I'm back in the car. For the time being, it's just the easiest place for me to have 10 minutes of peace. Just gone out, got some bits for a roast dinner. Feeling good. Going to go out for a walk. It's the wife's birthday, so we're going to go out for a nice walk in a bit. Just going to get the chicken in the slow cooker, and then off we go, and then we'll leave that, and it'll all be sorted when we get back. So yeah, feeling good this morning. Went to Hanley Town yesterday for a bit of non-league football. Love it down there, really do. If you're in the area and haven't been down there, get yourself to a game. They're about to wrap up the title in the next few weeks. So it's exciting times down there. Great little club. With some great people involved as well. Yeah, so today I wanted to talk about validation. Now this is something that's we've spoken about in the Bottled Up Blokes group, and in the Lads Army group, the Facebook groups. And I think it's really is an important factor, and something that I think is a huge contribution to the stigma around mental health, and why men in particular don't talk about it as much as they should. And what I mean by validation is, for me, as I've said before, my issues, my problems, a lot around anxiety, which led to a major depression in November, which has led to me being on antidepressants, which obviously I did a video. I'm not ashamed of it at all. And just on a side note, when you talk about antidepressants, you find out how many people are taking them that you would never have thought would need something like that. So I think there's a big argument for them, as long as they're needed, obviously. Yeah, so the validation and the stigma around those things. So for me, it was depression and anxiety, but one of the biggest reasons that I kind of tried to bite down on the gum shield, if you will, and try and get on with it as much as I could, was the feeling of, are my feelings valid? Are my issues valid? And is the reaction to what's happened in my life or whatever warranted? Is it valid? So what I mean by that is, for me personally, it all come to a head in November, with some things at home, and in my head they don't compare to a soldier that's got PTSD or depression from what they've seen or had to do, or someone that has gone through drug and alcohol addiction, someone that's been involved in massive trauma, loss of loved ones, that kind of thing. And in my head it was kind of well, who am I to compare to what am I doing sitting here moaning, sitting here depressed, when Joe Blogg's just got it 10 times worse? And there are valid points to that. Me being depressed because I'm overweight, I'm not particularly happy with my life. I'm happy with my wife and kids, obviously, but my life in general, my work, my kind of existence, I'm not 100% happy with. Am I allowed to be depressed about that when other people go through actual experiences that lead them to depression, anxiety, and so on and so forth. So, and that's a big thing, because I think you can talk yourself out of it. You can, particularly men, obviously there's channels for men, so we will push things like that down purely because of that fact, and we'll go, well, my next door neighbour, this has happened to him and he's all right. You don't know that. You don't know he's all right. This is what we deal with on a daily basis with depression, anxiety, and mental health. Is that you go to work, you put a face on, you don't let it show as much as possible. So you don't know how other people are dealing with their own stuff. So when you look at it and go, yeah, maybe on paper, your next door neighbour or your friend or whoever, their situation may seem worse. What they've been through may seem worse, but it doesn't make your situation and your suffering any less valid. I had a good childhood, no problems at all, no abuse, nothing like that. Me and my brother had a good upbringing, no drama, played in a nice area with a load of mates from around the streets. Never anyone dodgy, you know what I mean? So school was okay. I didn't like school much, but it was okay. It was nothing terrible. So, but does that mean that then I'm not allowed to suffer with mental health issues later on in life? Of course it doesn't. The same way that a person my age, 34, could have gone through abuse, losing loved ones, drug and alcohol, you name it, and be sitting here at 34 doing okay. And that obviously happens all the time. The narrative that you've had a good upbringing, what you're complaining about, and the narrative of, oh, he was abused, he was from a broken home, blah, 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 you can understand why he's suffering. They may seem opposite, but they're the same narrative. Now, neither are less valid than one another. All you have to do is look at, and it's easy to pick out celebrities, but you look at people like Robin Williams, people like, to a lesser extent, Kurt Cobain, because I think he was really in a pretty messed up place. But Robin Williams in particular, someone that portrayed this just a fun-loving, happy, biggest smile in the room type of guy. Loads of money, whatever, you could buy whatever you wanted, could have whatever you wanted. But he clearly had his struggles. Gary Speed, Premier League footballer, Newcastle, Leeds legend, Wales manager. I remember him scoring a penalty for Bolton against Watford with the season we got promoted, so it must have been about 2006 time, to win the game in the 90th plus minute. Absolute legend and a hero for a lot of people. Wife, kids, everything. And he clearly had his struggles. So just because you've had this upbringing, that upbringing, this happened, that happened, doesn't make your struggles any less or any more valid, I guess, than anybody else's. And I think that's a big thing for men, is that we will look at the guy next to us and go, well, if you put a group of 10 blokes in a room, you would sit there and go, well, he's had this, he's had that, that's happened. What am I doing here? My suffering isn't the same as the guy next to me. Doesn't mean it's not valid. And that's the biggest point that I can give from this video. Tim from Bottled Up Blokes uses a brilliant analogy, and I'm sure he won't mind me saying this. One he said a few times, that you're on their podcast, which you can download actually on Spotify. You're a soldier, you're at war, and you've had your leg blown off, and you're sitting in hospital, and you're obviously in a pretty messed up way. The guy next to you was at the same incident, has got both his legs blown off. Now, you still had your leg blown off, but you could say that he's got it worse because he's had both of them blown off. But you still had your leg blown off. It's still life-changing. It's still going to impact the rest of your life and your family's life. So that's valid. Just because somebody else has got it worse off or had a worse experience doesn't mean it's not valid. And I know that's a pretty extreme example, but it's true, you know? People that go through divorces, things like that, you get depressed, you get anxiety, you get down, you know? And it's okay. It's the biggest point. It's okay to feel like that, and to feel shit, and to feel down. And you can't let society dictate what constitutes a valid reason for being depressed. You know? You can't let society decide for you, basically, what you can and can't be down about. You know, there are different levels of depression, obviously, but people get down over anything. You know, it can be daily life, it can be bigger than that, but we get down and we struggle and we come back again, and that's what we do as men. And just to wrap this video up, the biggest thing to take away from this is that whatever you're feeling, it's valid and it's all right, and you are perfectly justified to feel that way. And the most important thing you can do is to reach out, is to talk to Samaritan's Mind, anyone. You can jump in the Bottled Up Blokes Facebook group, the Lads Army Facebook group. The Bottled Up Blokes have a WhatsApp group. You know, there are. I'm on Twitter. Lads Army is on Twitter. Bottled Up Blokes is on Twitter. DMs are always open. So there are places to go. Personally speaking, I'm obviously in both groups, and they are amazing. So I'm not going to go into it because they're private groups, but all men, all more or less strangers that are helping each other out, and that's a powerful thing, you know. My missus doesn't really know much about it. Well, doesn't know anything about it. Just knows that I'm in it. You know, it's completely private. So, and you can go in there and go, oh, fucking missus is doing amazing, or whatever. And you can feel safe doing that, you know. But they're great avenues for getting stuff off your chest, or just observing, just being in the group and being part of it, and just reading, listening, and trying to take whatever you can from that. So if you're a talker like me, I'm quite happy to talk about what I've been through. I wasn't always, but I'm quite happy now to talk about it. Or if you're not, if you're someone that just is very I guess stigmatizing, that you don't feel like you want to talk, then that's absolutely fine. Just being part of the groups is great, and I can't recommend them enough. So yeah, if you're on Facebook, you might need to contact me on Twitter, or Bottled Up Blokes on Twitter for a link, because they're private groups, so you can't search them. But yeah, if you get in touch with me in any way, then I'll point you in the direction of both. I'll link in all the usuals down below. Men Unite, who are based at Hanley Town, as I mentioned earlier. They're a great charity for helping men. Got a special buzz around the place, particularly here in Staffordshire. It's a great county to be in for helping mental health. So yeah, that's it from me. I'm rambling a bit now. So your feelings are valid, okay? Don't ever think that they're not. Now I'm going to go and go back, get the roast on, and go for a nice family walk. And I hope you have a great Sunday. Cheers.